Hey everybody, it's Tracy, and I wanted to talk today about algorithmic trading, especially as it relates to crypto. And I've talked a lot ad nauseum in the past about trade signals and the regulations and legalities concerning trade signals. And algorithmic trading is completely different, obviously, than trade signals. Trade signals are I'm giving you a message to buy, sell, short, what have you, and then I'm left to my own devices to actually execute that trade and make that trade, whether I want to do it or not. Algorithmic trading is where, by definition, according to FINRA, is where you're generating or routing a trade to an exchange. And in traditional finance, like equity trading, if you are responsible for the development, design, implementation, augmentation, or supervise those individuals who are effectively controlling or designing an algorithm for trading, then you need to be registered as a securities trader, and that requires passing the Series 57 exam, and it's this whole thing, right? So what I see is a lot of people developing great algos for crypto trading, but it goes back to what literally every issue in crypto regulation is going back to. What am I actually trading, right? Because in the context of equity or debt, convertible debt, what have you, an algorithm, if you're like literally the coder, you need this designation under Series 57 as a securities trader. But if we're dealing with like Bitcoin or Ethereum, which are commodities, then we fall out of that realm and we don't need that designation, right? We don't need to bother with the test, whether you're the strategist or you're the coder or whatever. You don't need the test. And that's important because all the enforcement action that you're seeing is Ripple being sort of the seminal case, being a determination of whether a crypto is a security or not, right? And there's this like very, 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 and I've talked about it a million times before, there's this huge gray area that you're in with tokens, especially, right? Coins, you're pretty safe because those are commodities and they're not commodity interests. So these laws really don't apply, right? Or they're just straight up utility tokens and it's just property. But when you get into some of these, like Ripple, if you're going to develop an algorithm that could be used for something like Ripple or could be used for even Ethereum, which the SEC, chairman of the SEC claims is probably a security and not even a commodity, then you have to be very careful because creating the algorithm and then selling the algorithm, right? Because you're not necessarily doing it for your own, your own account, is possibly triggering a obligation to become regulated, right? To take that exam and then have to pass it and presumably associate with the broker dealer, which would be next to probably impossible in most cases. So it's a tricky thing because algorithms, especially in crypto, tend to be one size fits all, right? Like because there's so much correlation with Bitcoin and Ethereum to like tokens that you don't see like a very big beta. And the reality is that people could use your algorithm for something else and you wouldn't even know it, right? So, part of it is obviously, the details of how you're deploying that algorithm, who's actually controlling it, who's executing and all that kind of stuff, right? But most importantly, and like just sort of like the take on all of this is if you are, developing these algorithms, be very careful what they're for, right? Like if you have a great algorithm that works with Ripple, don't sell it, use it for yourself. Because right now you have the largest securities regulator in the world telling you it's a security, right? But Bitcoin, they've said, no, it's not. Ethereum, they said, no, it's not. Those are commodities. And there's no specific law for commodities in algorithmic trading. So that's my take. And I think it has, it's a case by case basis, right? Like it's not one size fits all. And like, you really have to like kind of look at, even some of these obscure tokens that, you can find these massive arbitrage opportunities in and price discrepancies. And that's really where it makes a lot of money and sense. So I get it. But you have to be very careful in terms of that token and whether that's a security, because a lot of them are on these exchanges and they perhaps shouldn't be, but they are, right? So anyway, that's my take on securities trader designation, FINRA, Series 57, and crypto. Definitely hit me up if you have any questions, adamtracy.io, and I'll talk to you next time. Cheers.